All right, now we're coming over to the trade log template that we have. So I already went over this risk management tool in a previous video, and so kind of the counterpart to that template is the trade log itself. And so really what this is going to be helpful for is one, tracking all the trades that you've done, because you should have, some kind of like portfolio management in that manner. It's also just going to be really helpful for one, just tracking how many wins and losses you have, kind of like what your consistent, what are you winning on, what are you losing on, because it's always something I always push, because it's the right attitude, is that you're either winning or you're learning. Don't consider it a loss. It's a lesson that comes at some cost, is really what it is. And so the goal is to review those things, figure out why things went wrong, what didn't fit to your plan, and learn from those. And so this is always something that I actually like to go back in times of when the market is dull or boring, or basically telling myself, there's no good trades out there. Nothing is, I'm hunting for trades. I go, let me just look back at some of my previous losses, and I'll replay those on TradingView and actually go back and chart them again. And so really how this one works, first, one of the major differences between the previous tool that I made is that I have white boxes as what you should be filling in on this other template. This one is not that way. It actually just makes for a ton of white space, which is, I just hate like fully white spreadsheets. And so the one thing that I will kind of let you know right off the bat is just work left to right in this sheet and it'll populate itself. And so let's do one of these as a demo. So right now, and time of entry, this box is made to take date and time. And so you can put in just a date if you want, 11/22 is today. I can leave it as that, and that's fine. I tend to just round mine off to general hours. And so I'll just say right now is, 16:30, which we're pretty close to that. Just so I can understand if it's the afternoon. Again, that's actually something I will use, kind of foreshadowing here. That's something I'll go back and learn if I have a bunch of trades that go towards losses. Sometimes I find that it's like, okay, I got to stop trading at night. Like, obviously, what was I doing this day? And so an example, I'll actually just use a trade that I took yesterday was. And so token here, I'll put TRX. I took it as a short. And this is one thing that I have never seen anybody else put in their trade log. This is one of my favorite parts of this whole sheet, honestly, is this URL. Let me go to my TRX chart now. I was not prepared to actually fill this out. I'll copy the link to the chart image, and I'll show at the end of the video how to do that with TradingView. I just can't flip between screens easily with the software that I'm using. So I will just paste in my TradingView link in there. It throws it in there. I don't remember. I think I entered this at 20x leverage. And these are all things that, like, the exchange that you're trading on, just take those values right from that. And so, actually, I can probably open this up in here so we can see what I'm looking at. Get out of here, Black Friday sale. All right, awesome. And so this is the TRX trade. And so entered on this bounce. And so now I will just, I made my trade info match exactly what's on here. And so I'll enter those things. And so entry price 0.0524. That'll be fine for this. 0.0524. I'm going to go back one to confirm that, but also make sure that everybody sees where that's coming from. 0.0524. Yeah, okay. And that's just the yellow line off this entry is all that's marking. And the quantity, I actually have no idea the quantity. I don't know. Let's go something like 40,000. Okay. I'll back it down to make it probably more realistic for most people. And then it just has two exits on here because, that's how I set mine up. You can certainly add more columns in here by just copying and inserting more to the side, and it should do a lot of that math for you. And if you have issues with that, let me know. Let's say unit price. For this particular trade, let's just put in one exit. Let's say that this was a short, and so we want the price to go down. Actually, let me just look at my target. Let's assume that this worked out. 0.048. 0.048. And the quantity, let's say I sold all of them. I didn't do any split sales. Great. And so it's actually calculating that, this price went down because it did. But because we put a short here, it accounts for this correctly. Actually, why does this look off? Oh, these didn't update. Okay, typo, this one. Got it. I will fix that in this sheet. Actually, it looks like it was just that one that had it still. Okay. Crisis averted. All right, so what this does is it realizes that this is a short, and so you actually want the price to go down. And so it's just taking the difference between these two, tells you what that actual loss was, and the trade percent for that particular trade. And that's really it. Just tracks positives, and that's it. So let's assume that we did the exact opposite trade. Let me just say I did this on 11/23, and again, you see you can just enter it as this, and it just takes it as the date. That's fine if that's what you want to do. Let's assume I did the exact opposite. Chart URL goes here. Obviously, you really should put that in. And we'll say I did the exact opposite thing. So 0.048, 10,000, 0.0524, and 10,000 again. And this time we made a whopping $44. Again, just going right back the other way. And so you can see that this is actually accounting for whether you're in a long or a short. Trade P&L, that's obviously basing off the fact of this required less money to get back up. This is, one of those diminishing returns sort of calculations, but it works. Now, let me just, let's say we bought Bitcoin, and I'm just putting in information now just to kind of fill in some of these. 1x at 14,000. We bought one. Cool. And our unit price. Let's say that our first target was 16,000, but we sold half. We had two targets here. We sold half. One at 16,000 and one at 17,000. And we sold the other 0.5. And it splits that difference, does that math for you. And this averages out your total position change. And so this is an 18% move overall for all parts. It's important to know that this is not like portfolio gain. This is gain per trade. And that's really important because the percent gain is what I would like everybody to really focus on. If you really want to, just click in here and hide this column because it just does not matter. All that matters is that you're consistently making positive percentages because that will ultimately compound into positive monetary. And so just focus on the percentages. And so when I did that, you can probably see one other thing that popped up here. I do have this just pulling some general information. I have a couple that are reading errors, and that's actually because we don't have any losses tracked. And so let's say I did one at 1400. Great. ETH short. Doesn't like it because I need to capitalize. Our URL 2x $1,000. We bought 4, and let's say we sold all of them at 900. All right, we're gonna get wrecked on this one. All right, down 10%, not bad. No, wait, I did it the right way. Let me switch this to long. There we go. Now we have a loss. That's what we're looking for. And so now we can see that in here, what it's tracking is one, just total days of trading. I feel like that's a helpful thing that a lot of people wish that they knew and they don't. And so just logging days, this will actually help overlap with kind of keeping track of your goals. Total trades, some stuff about win losses, your win percent, win ratio. And so we're a 3-to-1 right now because we've quite literally just done 3 trade wins, 1 trade loss. And then what your average win is and your average loss. And so, kind of the goal is not necessarily to use these, don't use these to say, hey, I'm going to hold on to a coin because I want to bring my average up. But it's all helpful information now. It's all stuff that you can help yourself learn with. And if you get to a point that, you've got some trades in here and you've been following things, really what I want to emphasize in the group is that I'm there to help you guys kind of review this stuff. If it's like, hey, let's open up your trade log and let's click on some of your charts. Like, let's, share it with me. Let's go through these and analyze, and let's see how your trades are. Are you holding losses too long? Because like a 10%, that's huge. I would say, maybe this was too aggressive. Bump it up 2.5%. That already has, changed the game a lot. And so I'm there to help with those. But this trade log is a great tool for that. Yeah, freely available. Let me know if you want one. Oh, and let me actually pause this and I will go to TradingView and show you how to export the charts properly. All right, we are back at TradingView. This is that same exact chart. So when I share a bunch of my charts in Telegram and other things, I will frequently go to this camera at the top right corner and just click copy image. because it's really fast, and it does, if I paste it in here, it just takes the image, and that's it. It's sometimes low resolution, but specifically for that spreadsheet, we want to do is copy link to chart image. That's really important because that's actually what's going to get you back to, one, it works better in the spreadsheet, and two, it just keeps it a better high res version for when you're going back and working with it. All right, that is all. Thanks, guys. Quick update to this trade plan spreadsheet because I've changed a couple things. Okay, nothing on the risk management page has actually changed at all. So going to the trade log. All right, so what I added is this column of portfolio allocated. Only because this number that's here, and I'll go through this in a second, the number that is here will actually match up with the numbers that you have here. And so it's a way for you to actually confirm that you've, made the right trades. It also shows how much of your portfolio is actually in a trade, whereas the total leverage amount, I mean, if you're trading, if you have $40 in something and it's 10x, your total leverage is $400, although you're not actually putting 400 in that trade. So I've added that. And I've also added this portfolio value. And so this is just going to estimate what your actual portfolio is at. We'll go through that in a second as well. But just know that those are the only two columns that I've added in the trade log sheet. And both of these will auto-populate. You do not need to enter anything in them. They have formulas. And so if we go to future, the one thing that I have added over here is also portfolio value. And so what I recommend is that, so this one, it's worth noting that this is not going to auto-populate. And this is something I recommend people do. And it's only because it's once a month. I would say that, the first of every month, set like a calendar alert just to go in and check your portfolio value and just put it in here. And so I want to show, let me flip this other page. I'll actually go back to the example. Again, nothing on this page has changed at all. It's all the same. And so if we go to future, let me start here. And so you put in these initial balances here. So you have your goals. This needs to be filled out. This is very important to have filled out because this trade log portfolio will use that number. That's how it's starting. And so it starts with that, and then just uses these profit and losses to estimate what these are. And so what I recommend is that at the end of the month, or the first of the month, whatever day you want to check your portfolio values, just do it once a month. Just keep these up to date. Just come over here and type in what your portfolio value is. I mean, if you come down here and it's like, oh, wow, this is a really rough month, like that's fine. Just mark it. The only thing that I will say that I will remind you of is that this one is all manually calculated as kind of like your way to just track yourself and keep up to date with your goals. But if you notice that these numbers are getting pretty far off of your actual portfolio, which is fine, there's some estimates that go into these numbers that are here, and so this will probably like creep further away over time. What you would do in that case is if you notice that, like, let's say that we just took this trade, we did this, and it's the end of the month, and I'm updating this, and I come over here and say, hey, we have 2,100 this month, and I go back to my trade log and I realize this is super far off. That's okay. This has this formula up here. Just override this. Just put this as what it really is if you have an update, and all of the ones below it will continue to calculate off of that. And so, this one will be a little bit off and it gets a little bit off, but every time you manually override one of these, it kind of resets for the ones that are under it. So you're good to go. And so this is safe to override, but just know that these you should manually fill in. All right, that is all of the updates. Just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of those.